What's going on, y'all? Welcome to another episode of NJ Healthy Heat. I'm here with Ivan Vieitez, former professional baseball player with the Los Angeles Dodgers. Also a special guest because this is my best friend. He's the best man in my wedding, and I'm super excited for y'all to learn about him. He's got an incredible journey from, a big time city where he grew up in Miami to finding, a small school in North Carolina to ultimately becoming an All-American to getting drafted and, living out his dreams of playing professional baseball. But we're going to dive into all of the ups and downs, twists and turns that come with, the journey from, a little league baseball player to making it all the way to professional baseball player. So without further ado, Ivan, bro, floor is yours. Introduce yourself, man.
What's up, everyone? My name is Ivan Vieitez, born and raised in Miami, Florida. Uh, Cuban American. I know some Spanish as well.
Let's go.
Fluent, yeah. So I pride myself in that to know because Matt over here doesn't know too much Spanish. I always
No
give him crap
español.
for that. Yeah. But yeah, going through my journey, like he says, big city, big city, Miami was the high school I was at was bigger than this college that I was at. So
How many
back
people were at that high school?
About 3,000, I would say, three to four.
Yeah,
That
yeah.
was a 6A when I was in high school back then.
Yeah. And so how do you get no, let's just start up there. Like when you're in high school and you're at a school, and I went to a school that had 2,000 people in it as well. Yours is a little bit bigger, but like how do you go about standing out in a school of that size? I think a lot of the kids who are watching this live right now go to schools that are like, two, 300 people. So it's pretty easy to stand out. But like for the people who are
Yeah,
going to watch this later, who also go to 6A 5A high schools in Texas, Louisiana, Georgia. Like, how do you stand out?
it's not easy. I know, like, that was my problem probably my freshman year. Trying out, I didn't make nothing. So I didn't stand out. I didn't do
You
anything
didn't make the
to,
team?
no, I didn't make nothing
Bro,
my
I didn't know
freshman
that.
year. Yep. Not even, we had a freshman team too. I didn't even make that.
Oh my God, bro. I did not know that.
Yeah, it took me into junior year to get it. So sophomore
You
year,
didn't
I
make
was a
it sophomore
JV.
year either?
I was
Oh,
JV.
JV.
Yeah,
JV.
so. But my sophomore year, I think you need to calm the nerves. I was a little nervous too as a freshman. When my tryout came up, I saw like all these, like you said, a big school, so at least 100 kids trying out. So I was like, what is
Yeah.
going on, There was a
At
lot of
the,
people out there.
yeah. At that point, were you even like prepared to play baseball, or was it just something you were casually doing in your life and like you were like, oh, I guess I'll go out for the baseball team. I'm kind of decent, or had you been working and training like it was
No,
kind of
I
a
definitely, because even in eighth grade, I was able to try out for the freshman team. So I already had in mind that I wanted to keep on trying. Like, but even freshman year when I didn't make it, it kind of gave me like a little thinking, and I was honestly I had a conversation with myself like, do I even want to play anymore?
mm,
Because I didn't even make nothing. Like you were surprised. I was surprised I didn't make nothing. It's because I was like, you're not even the freshman team. I can't even do that. So what's the point of even playing? But I kept playing travel ball, stuck with it, and came back sophomore year, and I was able to stand out and do good in the tryouts and for the coaches to give me the opportunity.
yeah. What changed between freshman year and sophomore year? What do you work on? How do you get from not getting on the team to making the team the next year? Like what goes into that?
For sure, the body changed a little bit. I got bigger, so that helped me, I would say. But I mean, I was always a skinny guy. But definitely my mentality. Like I said, I was just, I guess, too nervous, putting all that pressure on myself, and I wasn't going out there for fun. I was going out there because just tight. So
Yeah. Yeah. And that's a tough way to play. That's a tough way to
for
play for
sure.
sure. Yeah. So fast forward, you make the team sophomore year, your JV team. All right. So then you fast forward again to junior and senior year. Like talk to us about that. You make varsity, you know, how do you go from not making the team to JV to varsity your junior year to getting signed and trying to stand out? Like what does the recruitment process look like? Like what are you doing? to like help
Well,
yourself get to the next level?
it wasn't easy for me because like I guess my generation we didn't use the YouTube videos or they were just like starting out really like to show like your skills and all that like how everyone does it
Hmm.
now.
Yep.
So like probably junior year I never did any videos or anything like that. Then senior year came around and we had a new coach come in and he started introducing us to all this and we even had like max preps. I don't know if you know what that is,
Yep.
like to
Definitely.
put
I
our
still got my
stats
max
in
prep
there.
stats. Yeah, I still
Yeah,
got my max prep stats.
exactly. So that's how like it started with me. I didn't and then they started doing like highlights for our games, like little things like that that will help me get exposure. And also one of my old teammate helped me because he went to Lenore Ryan and he put a word in for me.
Oh wow, okay.
So that helped me out. And one of the coaches came down and like had like a sort of a tryout, but like invited only. And I stood out in there, and by then I was already hitting a lot better than what I was my freshman year too, obviously.
Yeah,
So
yeah. And so obviously I know you as like this great two-way player, but in high school, were you predominantly a hitter, pitcher? Were you
yeah,
stand out at both? Like what were you really excelling at?
I was more of a hitter for sure.
Yeah,
I would be the guy that would probably call from the outfield or third base to put in to close the game. That
yeah,
was my most of my pitching.
yeah. And what was your hitting like, I guess, attributes slash stats? Like how do you get seen with your stats? Was you a high average guy,
Yes.
homers?
It was more high average. Homers, no, because I wasn't that body type. So me, I had to show off that I could make contact and that I wasn't a strikeout guy, and I would put the ball in play and just high contact and high on base percentage. Show off a little speed too. I was pretty fast back then.
Yep.
I, even before you got to LR, I led the team in steals and all that.
Bro, I
But
know that. I know you fast. You're a 6'7" guy. You're a 6'6", 6'7" guy. What
so
about and then you get invited to this invite only. Is that the only look that you had was Lenore Ryan, or did you have any other schools showing any sort of
yeah,
interest?
that's about it. It was
Yeah.
either gonna be that or try to go to Miami-Dade Community College down here and
Also fire
do a
though. That's a great
walkout.
school.
And it was gonna be if I will be honest, it might have been harder for me to play in Miami-Dade than in
Oh my
LR.
God. Oh my God. Yeah. I played
It
with a
would have
guy.
been way more competition for me.
Yeah, I played with
So
a guy, Nello, who transferred from Miami-Dade
yeah,
to Cisco. You know Nello?
uh, I think I played against him. Yeah,
Bro, he's
pretty
second
sure.
baseman. Yeah, he
Yeah,
hits bombs,
short.
bro. Yeah, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
5'7", hits tanks.
Yeah.
So one offer, full ride, not full ride, like scraping money together. Like what's going on there?
Scraping money together for sure because you remember our old coach, he would always like start off with a story of like, look at this guy, Ivan came in as a freshman with barely any money on scholarship and he got drafted out of our school. So it was not a lot of money for scholarship for sure.
Yeah,
And that was the only offer, and that was a late signing because I signed senior year, like I would say March, April. I don't know, I think that's late.
that's pretty late. Yeah, senior
Yeah.
year in March and April, right during the baseball season. That's right around the time that I signed. I think you and I kind of had similar stories.
Yeah.
Mine just goes the JUCO route first, and then here. But quick, just like what you've got a son who's in high school, getting recruited, what do you tell him now? Like having gone to that process, like what are you giving him advice on? How are you helping him get to more schools or getting more exposure with what you know
Yeah.
now?
Well, now for sure, it's all about like you said, getting exposure and putting him in either different opportunities to get exposed, so showcases or something like that, or trainers like you or people that, like you said, they clip him or and they let him be seen,
Yeah,
basically. Because
yeah,
that was my problem was because like you said, big city and you couldn't be seen. So
yeah. Yeah, I don't even think that like you and I even had the thought in our minds like, oh, I should film what I'm doing and put it out there. Like that wasn't even
no,
anything.
at all.
Yeah. Were you
Not
did
till
you
someone
ever
introduced
email
that to me.
Yeah, did you ever email coaches or no? not at all either.
I started to my senior year.
Yeah.
Junior year, I didn't, but
And how did
senior
that
year,
process go? You get any like bites, or was it just all cold emails? Like,
yeah,
don't.
because I never had anything to show them, so it was hard to go, just by sending email like, "Hey, I'm a good baseball player," without any clips.
Yeah. No, yeah, but you sent stats and stuff.
Yeah, yeah, I was
Yeah.
sending the max prep.
Yeah, definitely,
That
definitely.
was
So you get to LR. Let's call a spade a spade. That school sucked when you got there.
it
They're
was rough.
not winning ball games. Like you're there, you're just happy to be, playing college baseball, I'm sure at that time. But obviously you end up in the position that you're at now. So like what does the 4 year progression look like for you? Like in a summary, like how do you go from barely getting a scholarship to becoming an all-American to getting drafted, doing all of that stuff?
I didn't really think about like being professional really till freshman year when like people started opening my eyes and saying, "Yo, you might have a chance. Like, what are
Yeah,
you even doing in LR? Like, you need to transfer out of here,
yeah,
basically, and go find some school that will make you there." But at first, I really thought about that, but I had no connects anywhere to go, so I was
why do
gonna
you think people
stick.
were saying that? What were you
Just because
doing
I
at that
I stood
time?
out so
Like,
much, like, on a team that sucked. So they're like, "Yo, what are you doing on a losing team? Like, go play in North Carolina or go play, in some school like that." I don't know, like, for example, since it was LR or UM or FIU or
yeah.
but if I would have gone there, I would have started off in square one again, having to prove myself. So
Yeah. I think D2 offered both you and I the same opportunities where it's like we were definitely really good baseball players, but had we gone the D1 route, like we probably still could have been D1 players, and it would have been cool to say like, "Hey, I played D1 baseball, but I'm on the bench. I'm fighting
yeah,
for a spot where it's like, yo, at LR, you walked into, the starting right field position, batting three hole. Like I wouldn't say you walked in there, you had to definitely earn it, but like it was an easier time for you to get on the field. And I think that's a huge, huge thing that people need to understand is like you just got to get on the field so that you can have an opportunity to showcase literally your talents because at that level, as we now know, like the scouts are going to find you at the D2,
yeah,
D3,
they'll hear
NAI.
from you somehow, some way.
Yeah. Yeah. So you walk on campus. What do you're a two-way player. Like let's not get that twisted. Like I consider myself a two-way player, but like I kind of just pitched casually in the background and like I definitely was more of a offensive weapon where like you are a true two-way player where like you're the starting pitcher and you're playing right field. Like
The Shohei of
how
LR.
did the Shohei of LR? How does that like? How do you get to that position? Like when you walk in there, was it just like handed to you, like, yo, here's the keys, like you're gonna
Not
start
at all.
every, yeah.
Not at all. And they tested me out just like in high school to bring me into close, and they liked my arm, so
How hard were you
they're
throwing at that
like,
time?
I never had a radar gun on me either like that, but if I had to guess, freshman year to sophomore year, I was probably close to 90,
Yeah, yeah,
88 to 90.
yeah,
But I started more intensely pitching sophomore year. Because freshman it was like, okay, we need you to come and close the game, and I wouldn't take it as serious. I mean, obviously in the game I would take it as serious. I mean, like practice wise, I wouldn't
yeah.
like focus so much on pitching. I would try more to focus on the hitting. But eventually, I everyone started talking to me. They're like, I think your future is gonna be into pitching, the way your body is and the way your arm is. So they were right.
They were definitely right. They were definitely right. And so, the first 2 years we can just kind of bypass those. I didn't know you at that time, but the school's struggling. You're losing a bunch of ball games. Yeah, you're the best player on the team, but you're the best player on a team at a school who doesn't win and hadn't had a player drafted out of there in, you know, 30 years and three people, I think at the time, three people had been
And
drafted
yep,
in
that
the
was the
entire
fourth.
100 and something years of the baseball schools program. So like there's hope, but like it's very minimal. Like there's literally like 1% chance you get drafted out of that school, even if you're good, because nobody even knows it exists. So how do you like what is like walk us through junior year? Junior year is the year that puts you on the map. Like how does that happen?
Yeah. Junior year, I just came in very confident because the year before had like a breakout year sort of too. I was, I think, second team all conference. So I was in like a breakout list or whatever. So I kind of like told myself like I need to break out and show them that I am that kind of player. And the competition too, like kind of like made me want to step up my game. I had Thomas Spitz in there. I don't know if you
Yep.
remember. They were playing in Wingate very good. There was another guy, my freshman year, sophomore year before you had gotten, his name was Chris Dula in Wingate, and he was really good too. And I saw these guys, and they would honestly motivate me to want to beat them. So I just wanted to play my best, and I played freely that year.
Yeah. Yeah, and freely you did, bro. You hit, I think, 451, you know, I think 10 homers, led the team in pretty much every offensive category. You were a game three starter. I think what was your record that year on the mound as well?
The record wasn't as good as the ERA. The ERA was like in the low threes,
Yeah,
but the
we
record was probably
sucked.
like 4-5 or something like that.
Yeah, we sucked. We couldn't score runs for you. I sucked. I hit 220 that year, so sorry. Um, That's on me. But
Partial,
then okay,
partial.
so that gets you on the map though, right? You become an All American that year. Obviously, your first team All Conference, first team All State. You win all these great accolades. Like you're the best player probably in LR's history, or at that point in time, the last like 30 years. Like there's nobody who's been as good at baseball as Ivan had been in that point in time. And so at that point, you have to be thinking like, all right, I might actually get a chance here to get drafted. You're throwing, I think at that point, like 94, 95, running up to 96 at that point. You're hitting balls to the freaking moon. You're, winning baseball games, big league stuff coming out like with the slider. Is anybody talking to you at that point in time or no?
Junior year, really Flea, when we got our new coach, Tom Fleenor, he helped me out and got some guys out there to watch us. I think it was scout day. We always had a scout day, but that year, like since they knew my name already from previous years, they looked at me more closely, and I think scout day was the first. Well, I think sophomore year, like we didn't have. Let me back up. Scout day was only for juniors and seniors because that's the guys that were draft eligible.
Hmm.
So if you will never see a freshman or sophomore out there on scout day. Sophomore year, I was out there on scout day because they wanted me to go out there, and so I got letters then. But the coaches that were there weren't like Tom Fleener was. I feel like they didn't have the connections maybe or whatever it was. Junior year came around and same thing. I probably got like 10 letters that day. And I wasn't expecting that many, but it felt good, obviously, getting that attention and seeing that everyone knows who I am now.
Yeah.
So Scout Day was definitely the day that like I got all that.
Yeah, definitely. And, we're going to go down this path that I think people can relate to. Kids in high school trying to make their high school team, that anticipation, maybe not getting the uh, looks that they want. And so after your big breakout junior year, obviously we go to the Northwoods League together. For those that don't know, the Northwoods League is like, one of the top college organization or college summer ball leagues that you can get into. Dudes from all over the country are playing. You're playing 65 games in 72 days. Pro
Yeah.
scouts are
Yeah, I
there. I
would
think
say
they've got
that that was definitely the closest thing to pro ball that we did before pro ball.
Yeah, and there's hundreds and hundreds of guys getting drafted out of that league. There's hundreds of players playing in the MLB that are from that league, and so we're there grinding it out every single day. And just during that summer, obviously, is the MLB draft, right? And so you're playing, and like the draft is starting to lead up, and it's just like every day that passes is just another day for you to think about, like, dude, am I about to get drafted here? Walk us through like that process, and ultimately what ended up happening that year.
Yeah, junior year it was kind of an anxious one waiting to see if I get a name called or not because I knew the first day I wasn't gonna get called. The first day was only like the first two rounds, so I was very realistic with myself, and I knew that wasn't gonna happen. The second and third day, I kind of had a feeling that something maybe would happen, but I got maybe one call on the third day, and it was when we were like, I think doing batting practice or something like that before a game for the Northwoods, and they offered me something, and I was like, sure, I'll take it, but. Even after that phone call, I think that I was still waiting for them to tell me, okay, we're taking you.
Yeah. Yeah, so
So
you don't end up getting drafted after all of
no,
this, like, right? You're excited, you want to get drafted, and then it all leads up to the draft, and then like it comes and passes you right by. Like, talk to us about where that puts you mentally and like how, you felt at that point in time.
it was tough. It was something I wasn't like expecting to be so down about, but it is kind of tough because like
We
you
had
get
guys get
people like
drafted that year.
yeah, and you got exactly we had guys on our own team get drafted, and we had like guys hyping me up a little bit, like oh like this is your year, this is gonna be the one, but. I mean, and then on top of that, we had like people like Johnny Manziel get drafted in that class, and I was like, what are they doing wasting a pick on Johnny Manziel? So that makes you feel some type of way
Yeah,
for sure.
definitely. Definitely. And then you after feeling that, you still have to play an entire summer, that was early in the summer. You've got a whole nother summer, and then you got to come back for a senior year. Like, what is the mindset going back into a senior year after just being like absolutely punched in the gut, being like, yo, maybe this is my final chance now to live out my dream. If I don't get drafted here, like I'm about
Yeah,
to go work a job.
yeah, exactly. That's how it was basically. Like, I mean, I wanted to finally see if they would give me the chance, but I think, like I said before, that senior year I didn't perform as well as my previous junior year. Obviously, it was that year was something crazy. So I was like trying to do these crazy goals for myself. Like since I hit like 451, like you said, I was trying to literally hit 500. Like
Yeah,
that was my goal. Like I was like, I can do it. I hit 451. I'm gonna hit 500 now.
yeah,
But it's just like a little too unrealistic in a game full of failures.
yeah,
But the gut punch, it took me a while to get over. I'm not gonna lie because it definitely affected my performance because it made me feel tight. Like I needed to do more than I was already doing.
yeah,
And if I would just played like how I have been, they would have been like, okay, this guy's consistent enough and maybe we'll give him the chance. But
yeah.
me being so tight and want to do so much, I wasn't as consistent.
Yeah. And so you're
Mhm.
just your thought process is like I hit 451, I didn't get drafted. In order to get drafted, I got to hit 500 every day is like I got to go
Yes,
1 for 2, and if I don't go 1 for 2, then I'm not getting drafted. Like there's no
it's because
way.
they were disrespecting the competition that we were playing and the league that we were in, being D2. They're like, oh, can this guy really do it against the better competition and all that? So,
Even though
you
I
know,
do know, so let's backtrack to the Northwoods League. We didn't even bring up the fact that every summer in that league they bring in the 100 best players in the entire league, and that league that year had guys like Pete Alonso in it,
yeah,
Buddy Reed. Like, you're right there with them, you
Paul
get invited.
DeJong.
Paul DeJong, you're right there in the mix with those guys, to be one of the best 100 players to represent that league that year. And so how did that make you feel to be put into that spotlight with guys who are now literal MLB all-stars, and they're just like, yo, you're just as good. And you know
It was a good sense of reaffirmation knowing that like I belong here with these guys. Like sometimes guys like me when they go to those little schools like that, like how we went, like you kind of like second guess yourself and you're like, am I really supposed to be here? But it definitely reaffirmed that I did belong there and did compete with them.
Yeah, definitely. So walk us through then your senior year. You struggled, but you've still done enough. I think on the mound, at that point you were now consistently 94, 95, probably 93, 95, touching 96, 97. Now you're just waiting on pins and needles for the draft. Like
Yeah, it was.
another draft, right? You got another big time draft. What's gonna
Yeah,
happen here?
it was a kind of like anxious process because I didn't know like what was happening. I had a few like invite only tryouts too. I don't know if you did any of those for pre-draft workouts.
Yeah, I did a couple of
So
those.
we would have to drive to those ourselves. And like this was like right after we had just graduated from LR. So it was
Hmm.
like we just graduated. Okay, I'm driving to South Carolina for this workout, and then the next day we got the other one down there in Orlando. So I'll be going to see, trying to get exposed anyway, anyhow. Let everyone get eyes on me. Sometimes it felt like a waste of time, you know. It would, because like the way they would do it, I would be in alphabetical order and I'll be the last guy to go. So, you know, seeing so many arms and I was the last guy, sometimes they're just, you know, tired. I get it.
Yeah, definitely.
But at the end, it wasn't, it felt like a waste, but it wasn't because, you know, someone saw me. That's what it was.
Yeah. Yeah. And then so the day comes, you've done all these, workouts, you feel good, but you don't feel great. And then day three approaches. Obviously, day one is reserved for, first and second
Well,
round.
no, after the Dodger workout, they let me know. They're like, we really like you.
Okay.
And we're thinking about taking you in the later rounds and we're gonna give you this amount. And that was the first time I had actually had that conversation with any team. So at that point I hoped the guy was gonna keep his word and he did. By the third day they took me.
That's awesome. And then, I mean, what is that feeling like getting drafted and, starting from a kid who didn't make his freshman baseball team to, a guy whose senior year gets drafted and is living out, every little kid's dream of playing professional baseball, every baseball
Uh,
player's dream.
and that was a day I'll never forget for sure because I didn't even realize I had gotten drafted. I I checked on Twitter and I see my name pop up. I'm like, oh, and everyone starts texting me. I never had my phone blow up so much. But that was probably one of the best days of my life for sure.
That's awesome, man. That's so awesome, dude. And, you became the fourth player ever drafted out of the school. And then, you kind of helped put the entire school on the map. Like, can you kind of talk about what that feels like? You're kind of like to all of us that came behind you, like this godfather, so to speak, which is like, yo, you laid the foundation. You really helped put LR on the map. And then the next year, myself gets drafted. And the next year, we've got three other guys getting drafted. And the next year, you've got four. And now, that program has been built off of the back of, pretty much Ivan Vieitez. And like, you kind of came in as somebody who was a nobody, no name person. And now, like, I wouldn't say that like you're the entire reason that the school is where it is right now, but like you definitely played a big role
No,
in that.
not the
Like, what does
entire,
that
yeah.
feel like? What does that feel like? How does that make you feel?
Yeah, honestly, you probably I don't feel like that. I try not to feel like that because I'm too humble, I guess. I try
Yeah, I
not
mean,
to I don't try to brag about that or anything, but when when things can pop up like that, it's just a good
I know.
feeling knowing that I started something like a trend, you know, and was able to get LR to be seen and help out other guys like you. And it excited me because watching you guys, you know, get drafted, it was great. It was like, all right, we're finally seeing these small D2 schools get looked at, you know.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, I don't think it's anything to say like, yo, I want you to brag about it, but really like it's just the message of, your one career helped impact pretty much every career hopefully to come at LR, like you really did set the foundation there. And it attracted scouts to a small school in Hickory, North Carolina that nobody would even stop at to get gas. And now again, it's like, I think they're a
Hickory
top
dickory.
I think they're a top five school in the nation for D2 baseball at this point in time. They've gotten a whole new field, they've renovated everything. Like so much money has been dumped into it again, all off of like, hey, these guys can play baseball and like they're getting drafted and they're getting notoriety. And you end up making it all the way to, big league spring training camp. Talk about that. Like, what is big league spring training camp for a guy who's coming from a small D2 school?
It was like one of those like, am I really here moment? I looked around, in this clubhouse to
Who's
like
in that clubhouse at that
just
time?
soak it in. Puig was in there. That was back then. That was like one of the big names that I remember. Kershaw for sure. Chase Utley. What are the big names? Kenley Jansen,
Kenley
obviously.
Jansen. Yeah.
Yeah, Kenley Jansen, and yeah, who was the? I think Kike was there too. He's still there. So,
Hernandez. Yeah.
hmm
Nice, man. And then you just look around, you're just like, yo, I'm one of these guys, man. Like, that's it. Like,
and
it's
yeah,
just,
it felt good. It felt good being in the bullpen too. Get to soak in, a little information that I can get from all those guys just sitting around and talking a little bit, just like bullpen talk, It's like, oh, they're just like one of us.
yeah,
We we think sometimes that they're like something else, but
they're
no,
not.
yeah.
They're not at all. They're not at all. So what's something about college and then pro ball that you didn't expect? For college, what's something you didn't expect when you were in high school, and for pro ball, what's something you didn't expect when you were in college?
What I didn't expect.
Like about it, like when you got like in high school, you didn't really think about it, and then you got to college, and you're like, "Whoa, I didn't see this." And then when you're in college and you got to pro ball, you're like, "Whoa, what is this?"
For college, I think probably just because like the school was so small, like that's what affected me. Like since my high school was bigger than that, I was like, what's going on here? But like, I guess maybe the competition was a little easier than I thought.
Yeah,
Because I don't know, coming from Miami, we were growing up in very good competition. So like the game came easy to me when I came up there.
yeah,
And another thing I didn't expect was having to put in all the work that you have to do by yourself, like even after practice, you have to go if you want to go to the batting cage, like how you would go ask for the key, and then you have to do all that by yourself. You don't have anyone on your back, like your coach is saying, okay, like it's time to go to the cages now. It's time to do this, do that. Like, yeah, we have certain times for practice, obviously. That's what they're telling us for the schedule. But when practice is over, I meant like your work that you do it on your own.
yeah,
So
yeah.
that I didn't really do that in high school. That was eye opening for me when I saw guys like doing that, like working out at 11 o'clock at night or just random times. I was like, what are you guys doing? We're like, we're about to go hit the cages. You want to come? I was like, we can.
Yeah, I mean, dude, yeah, at that point, it's just like you're an adult, you've got the facility, like there's dudes hitting at 2 o'clock in the morning. Not that
Yeah.
I recommend it, you gotta get sleep, but like just literally the definition of like guys are working while you're sleeping, like it couldn't be more true. Like there's dudes out there who are just fighting tooth and nail to get on the field. It's definitely very, very competitive at the college level. And then what about at the pro level? Like what's something that you walked into and you're just like, dude, like this is much different than in college baseball.
Well, just seeing like the difference of ages in people. Because in college, I mean, it's like a 3 or 4 age difference, but in the pros, I'm sure you know what I'm talking about. You can see a Dominican guy is 17 years old, or you can see a 35-year-old man in the clubhouse, and they can
With
be on the
three
same
with
team.
three kids and a wife that he's been
Yeah,
married to for
exactly.
13 years. You're just like, yeah,
So it's very different that way because in college, like I said, you see guys from 18 to 21. So the age difference was like for me because
yeah,
but
yeah. So to wrap it all up, and then we'll see if anybody's got a question here. Otherwise, we'll
yeah.
just wrap it up. To the high school kids listening right now, to the ones that are going to tune in to this episode later, like, what is it that you want them to know that they can do to help their journey in any way, shape, or form? What's something that you would give them as far as like advice to just keep going or whatever it may be?
And yeah, definitely you need to be realistic with yourself, and you need to know where you're at, and you need to address if you feel like you can keep on going, or if you're not, you need to know what kind of player you are as well. If you need more work, get the more work, or if you need to rest, you need to rest. But whatever it takes for you to get it done. I mean,
Yeah,
that's just it's kind of cliche, but and definitely don't put so much pressure on yourself more for no reason. That was my biggest problem, even ending my career. I felt like at the end of my career, I was not playing for fun. Obviously, we all wanted to make it, but at the end of the day, you're playing a game and you need to enjoy it. Like looking back, I'm sure you feel like that sometimes. You're like, damn, like why was I just so anxious or
dude.
nervous in these games when I could have been playing just for fun and it would have been totally different.
Dude, I pissed away my entire last year of pro ball because I was just so like this. I would say the second half of it. The first half was so fun. I was doing so well. We were winning. We ended up still being the number one team in all of minor league baseball that year across all levels. So that's something I hang my hat on and like I'm proud of. But the last few months of my baseball career were just filled with anxiety and pressure and just wasn't having fun, dude. I dreaded going to the baseball field, not because I hated baseball, but because I was just like so caught up in like my performance and oh dude, I feel like I'm about to get cut, and every day I was
Yeah,
walking on eggshells like, dude, today's the day
exactly.
that they're going to call me into the manager's office and they're going to be like, yo, we're sending you down, or worse, like, dude, you don't have a job anymore, so like good luck.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Like
Tough
that
way to
was always
play.
like that
And then you gotta go
was,
pitch. Then you gotta go pitch after that because then they didn't cut you, and then you're sitting in the bullpen. And you're like, shit, I didn't do anything except worry all day.
and sometimes yeah, you wouldn't even be like, oh, don't even call my name today.
Yeah, don't call me, man. I'm bad news. You don't want me on that mound today. That was just negative thought after negative thought, dude. And then
Yeah,
I ended up figuring it out though in Mexico when I went down and played. That brought a lot of fun back. But that's one of the biggest things I try to tell kids now is just have fun, man. I promise you, I've gone down the road of playing this game for straight stats
yeah.
and like tight, and it ain't the right way. Like even if you're having a
Don't.
bad day, like
Yeah,
yo.
don't you need to control the roller coaster and don't be too up and down. You know, if you're playing amazing, you try to stay humble, and if you're playing terrible, you try to motivate yourself and stay even keel, like they say.
Yep. Yep. Ivan, my man, always a freaking pleasure to have this conversation with you. I'm curious if anybody, Mike or Tay, if y'all got a question for Ivan here. How'd you feel about not making the baseball team freshman year? How'd that make you feel, Ivan?
And yeah, like I said, I was contemplating on stopping playing. It was
That's
a
tough. Yeah.
conversation that I had with my parents. I was like, why should I even play anymore if I can't make the high school team? Like, what am I gonna do? Just play rec league ball? Like, what's the point of that? You know, obviously we were getting to a point where we knew it was high school ball or that's it. Like, stop playing already.
Yeah. I think when you grow up down in Texas or Miami, it's like, dude, if you can't make the high school team or like you ain't gonna get seen. There
But
really isn't much of a way. Like I don't want to say that there's no way, shape, or form because there's somebody out there who's gonna prove me wrong and watch this video and be like, I told you so. But like if you're watching this and you haven't made the high school team, like not that you can't play baseball at the college level or anything like that. It's just going to be very difficult, and it's maybe even
yeah,
unrealistic.
because
But
definitely
there you
because
are. But
there's
but
no
you're
way.
you're the one. You're the guy though. You're the guy
No, I
that
mean
that
the conversation I have with my parents to continue and to maintain the faith that it was not meant to be and that eventually down the line would come out to be
yeah.
fine. So,
Yeah. We got another question here. I think Tay, you're asking about probably his high school career, so I'm going to ask it as that. But like during high school, did you take breaks during any of your seasons, or was it year-round playing?
mm, since I'm in a warm weather state, we were more year round. But I know since you guys are up there, New Jersey area, it's not as easy. The weather doesn't cooperate for you guys, but we would take a break maybe Christmas. That was like our break, Christmas time. But because we knew like as soon as we come back to like the new year, end of January to February, that's like prime baseball time here.
Yeah.
February
Yeah.
through August, September.
Yeah. Tryouts for baseball down south, Tay, are January. Like
Yeah.
you're playing right then and there, right after you come back from Christmas break. You better be ready to make the baseball team. And then games start as early as like I think our first game was like January 28th or something like that.
Yeah, late January, early February.
And we were playing like 50 games. Like we were playing a
Were
lot of yeah, we were
we
playing
played
like
like about
40.
22, I think, 20.
No, we played like 40 or 50 games in high school. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I could just be crazy. But I
I
just
don't
remember
think
playing
so,
a
bro.
lot
That
of
might be
baseball.
college.
Yeah, maybe. But yeah, dude, I remember playing baseball through like basketball season, and then you've got summer ball, and then you have fall ball,
Yeah.
and then like there was never really any time for like the training. That's the one thing that I regret not doing is like the strength training in high school. I didn't mess with that at all, and that really
Yeah, I
set me
didn't
back.
either.
And yeah, I luckily got to where I needed to go, and I'm sure you're gonna vouch the same thing. But I just made it much harder for myself that I wasn't like strong, and I was just scrawny. I had all of the talent that
And
I
there was
needed,
also
but
like
like
back then they would say, oh, don't lift weights because it'll mess up your whatever growth or something, you know?
yeah,
That
and now
myth back then.
yeah, and now it's just like, bro, I should have just been trying to lift the house. I should have been trying to get jacked, getting mobile,
Yeah,
getting
now
trying to dunk
with
basketballs.
nowadays with everyone, they shouldn't have an excuse of not getting better because they got so many resources like this one here, you know, that can help them
There's
out.
so many resources, man. Every day I get on Instagram, it's like lift weights, go to sleep, drink water, eat. It's just like that's the message out there. And just like it's just gonna be for those who are willing to do it and do it at a high level of consistency, they're gonna be the ones that win. Like that's all it's gonna be. It's just like who can start and take every day and make it the most of what it is and then just stack days on top of each other, and
Yep.
at the end of it just figure out like who you are. Like you can't make yourself into a baseball player that doesn't already live inside of you, in my opinion. So it's just like how quickly can I get to the best version of myself. It comes through like consistency of doing just like the little things, going to get your
And
T work
and
and
don't worry about what other people think about the way you're working. That's also too like I kind of like would like try like be like oh like worry about what other people are thinking about what I'm doing. Don't they can think whatever they want. You keep on doing your work. If they think oh this guy's trying to be like a coach's pet or like something like that, like no, you're doing it for yourself. You keep working at it.
yeah. Yeah. Appreciate those two questions, fellas. Ivan, really appreciate you coming on and talking to everybody, man. I'm sure we'll catch up soon. Can't wait to see you at the wedding. And yeah, that's
Yeah,
a
see
that's a
you in
wrap,
June.
man.
See you in June.
Oh, at the bachelor party. Yes, sir. I'll see you there. Guys, really appreciate it. Guys, for the NJ Healthy Heat, we do have a call at 9 if you're able to jump on that. We're going to introduce Austin as the coach, but that's neither here nor there. So see y'all in the next one. Ivan, appreciate you, brother.
All right, man. Peace.